Feel like it's been forever since I stood in front of this green screen. Anyway, this is another episode of the Wrap It Up series, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about what's going on, guys. The YouTube. Apparently, Joe Budden has been bullying Logic, and Logic ain't too keen on that. He's not too happy about that. Over the past few days, Logic's been having a couple interviews with some folks. In a couple of those interviews, I'm assuming Joe Budden was a topic of discussion. Logic being asked his thoughts about Joe's harsh critiques of his music over the last year or so. Logic's response being, I never watched Joe Budden, but at the same time saying, his words put me in a very depressed state. Y'all have like telepathy or something like that? Does peace, love, and positivity give you like a level of insight beyond anything else where you can just know what someone said without even watching them? So I guess that'll be a conversation for y'all. Like, do you think Joe Budden is too harsh on Logic? Now, me personally, when I looked at this situation, I felt like Logic was just victimizing himself. Not to say that Logic can't look at content like that and be just put off by it. Say, I don't like that, so I'm not going to feed into it. I really do kind of despise when it comes to depression how many request things that make people sad or things that put people in a shittier mood ought to be removed or ought to be criticized publicly in order for the person that's dealing with said depression to be okay or to be happy. Like, we're not going to delete social media because people get on social media and they are depressed by what it is that they see, or they see people say something about them that shifts their mood. I'm not saying that Logic demanded that Joe be removed from his platform. I'm just saying that we can't bring public scrutiny to things like that when so many other people deal with the exact same thing and don't have the same response to it. Which is why I feel there's a huge dichotomy between people who are depressed versus people who experience depression. A person who experiences depression, to me, has periodic moments when they're very happy and the depression comes along with life. You know, things happen that might put you in a depressed mood or a depressed state, and that's normal. Versus someone that is on opioids or taking medication for the depression because they've always had it, because they've been clinically diagnosed with it. Experiencing sadness or being upset with some of the things that may address you personally, I don't think that equals depression. I just think maybe you aren't used to receiving that level of criticism. But if that were the case, I think the responsibility is on the person that's experiencing that thing more than it is on the person that said whatever it was that they said, because if we're talking from a normal point of view, that shouldn't make someone depressed. Especially when one of my biggest issues with that twisted verse in the first place was Logic kind of using the 1-800 song as the butt of a sex joke. You used the suicide prevention hotline hook from that song in Twisted and then made a sex joke out of it. And now he's the bad guy, but you're not in poor taste. What you said wasn't in poor taste on that verse either. People should be able to say Logic is ass or Logic is trash without Logic saying this makes me depressed. I just had a bout with this shit like 2 weeks ago. I don't have to make a song about it every time, Logic. I think I'm of the awareness that mental health goes beyond just making a song about it. I feel like Logic is feeding this far too often, which is why I understand why people would give Logic the critique of pandering to so many different audiences and demographics, because in all honesty, he does do that a lot. And I think it's in more of an attempt to prevent people from criticizing him more than it is to actually include those people in his music. Because how do you go from Everybody, a song where you're trying to be massively inclusive, to Confessions of a Dangerous Mind that literally just talks about you, how much people get to you and why you don't like this and why people talking about you in this way doesn't work for you? The world doesn't have to change for you to feel better. You do. And if this is what makes you feel bad, then I think you need further mental evaluation, because I don't think it should make you feel bad. Even more so because you get massive amounts of love. No one who said anything bad about Logic's music has ever said anything bad about Logic as a person. So why you take it personally, I don't know. I know Logic puts his heart and his soul in his music a lot. You can't sit up here and tell me that you put your heart and soul into a verse like Twisted. You can't tell me that. The amount of people that know the name Logic love him at a far greater scale than the amount of people that have anything negative to say about him. I know people are going to say, oh, well, Joe Budden used to talk about mental health too. He should understand Logic more than anyone. I think the difference between a Joe Budden and a Logic is Joe Budden never had like a press release tour or like an album run or an album rollout based on mental health. He never had a hit single that was just, I don't want to be alive, I don't want to die today. Like, he never said something that vague and that I guess, cookie cutter before. So seeing someone say they're an advocate for stuff like that and at the same time be so vague and surface level in their explanation about it, and especially regarding things that trigger their depression, being so different from the thing that triggers a lot of people, and an even bigger disparity between people that have been clinically diagnosed with it, that have had it all their lives, that have been dealing with it since day one, that isn't triggered by one thing specifically, but they just walk around with that burden. I think looking at Logic, a lot of people will be like, the fuck is he talking about? And you can't demonize those people for critiquing him for that. And for a guy who is as old as Logic and as well spoken as he is, you'd think he'd be able to tell the difference between blind hate and criticism that stems from you doing something that kind of deserves to be criticized. I think Logic should take it as a bigger compliment, though, that no one has ever said anything about him personally. He should take it as the biggest compliment in the world that everyone loves him for who he is and not for what he does. When you've made rap your personality, I guess every critique against your rap is a critique against you too, and it's not. But The Weeknd and Juice WRLD are coming out with a new single, and I'm really sad, and I'm also very excited for it. I think that this could be my perfect emo boy sad moment, my perfect emo sad song, you know? Imagine that Juice WRLD starts the track off with a beautiful acapella in the beginning, you know? I like Juice WRLD singing. I think his harmonies are great, especially when he switches from rapping into this like harmonic conversion type thing. Yes, I didn't mean it like that from Avatar, but that's what I want. I want this to start out a cappella, right? Juice WRLD comes in singing his ass off. Then The Weeknd comes in and the bass drops a little bit. But I don't want it to be a trap song, or I don't want it to be a trap beat. I want the bass to come in, and then these violins just carry The Weeknd's voice even further. And they keep topping each other, right? Relax. They keep topping each other. One goes higher than the other. Juice WRLD comes back in. The Weeknd comes back in. And then they mellow out into this world full of warbling synths, and they're going back and forth. It's like two angels in the sky, but The Weeknd's still here. I'm going to be sad, basically, when I'm listening to this. I hope it's good. It didn't make either of their albums, and it was definitely, in my opinion, I think it was probably recorded before Juice died. But the fact that it didn't make either of their albums doesn't give me more hope that it's going to be like one of those crazy songs that really deserve to make someone's album. I hope it is, but it took me off a little bit. It took me back. Yeah, but if the harmonies on this are insane, I'm going to fall in love with this track. That's really what I want. Juice WRLD is, like I said, a pretty good singer. We all know what The Weeknd can do vocally, and that's just really what I want from this track. I want this to be great for the legacy of Juice WRLD. And like I said, The Weeknd, I would love for this to be like some Sidewalks type instrumental, you know? I think even that, like the color of Sidewalks was fantastic. The guitar for that was great. You know, if this is like Snow Child, I don't mind that, right? Snow Child is fine. That type of production is great for a song like this. I just need it to feel authentic, and I need it to be something that's natural for the both of them, right? That's all I want from this track. But y'all can tell me in the comment section below what y'all want out of this song, what you want it to be. Me personally, I think it's going to be great. I hope it's great. And that's really all I got. I wanted to include a little bit more, but I'm done, and I got to go trim my edges. So I'll see y'all in the next one. You let me know how you feel about these things, and I'll see you. Bye.